Episode 7 of the Music for Ministry podcast.
Welcome to the Music for Ministry podcast, providing an in-depth look at the ministry of music through the lives of music leaders today.
Hello, and welcome to the Music for Ministry podcast. I'm your host, David West, and this is the podcast for those who are passionate about ministering with music. I'm excited about our show today. We'll be speaking with Lance Bastian. If you don't know who Lance is, he's the staff accompanist for the University of Cincinnati, as well as copywriter, composer, and just a wonderful arranger. We're excited to have him with us today. He shares with us his passion for church music. Before we get into our interview with Lance, let's look at a musical resource.
Check out this week's valuable musical resource.
It's been a long time coming, but Finale has finally been released by the people that make music. It's called Finale 2014. It's the 25th anniversary edition of this music notation software. And here at Grace for All Publications, we use Finale. So we're excited to upgrade to the latest version. A couple things that I'm excited about is, of course, they've added more instruments to their ARIA player with their Garriton sounds. I think it has over 400 instruments now in their digital sounds, so they sound just like the real instrument. As well as the beat-attached smart shapes is something that I think would be beneficial. Basically, all of your dynamics are attached to notes, and when you use the crescendo marking or the decrescendo marking, this will allow the crescendos to end to the beat that it's attached to, so it will start on one beat and end on another beat. So there'll be less readjustment of those crescendo marks, as well as something that I'm excited about, and that's their EPUB support, which is basically the new standard in digital publishing, and it offers an instant publishing for ebook platforms like the iBooks for the iPad. So if you get a chance to head on over to the Make Music company at makemusic.com and check out the latest version of Finale 2014. It's worth the investment if you are into publishing music or writing music for others to listen to and to minister with. You can find a link to makemusic.com in our show notes at graceforall.com/music for ministry. Well, we're here today with Lance Bastian. He's a copywriter, staff accompanist, as well as an arranger of Christian music. And we're going to find out a little bit more about Lance today. How are you today, Lance?
Good. How are you?
Just fine. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing or what area of the country you grew up in?
Sure. I was raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, so I'm a Midwesterner. I grew up in a small church that my family helped to start. And that was really where I started getting interested in music. I was really the only one in our church for many years with any inclination toward music at all. So that was kind of where I really started learning piano and getting my first church experience.
How about your upbringing as far as parents, brothers, sisters?
I have one younger brother, and my parents, by God's grace, raised us in a very good Christian home, very solid. My mother actually led me to the Lord one morning when I was 5 years old. The Lord drew me to himself through her, and since then I have consistently been blessed by feeling the Lord's Spirit working in my life, confirming that I'm his child.
So what role did music play in your life?
Since the time I started playing for church, I was sure that music would be the career I eventually went into. And the Lord directed that through many opportunities I had, not only at church, but other strong Christian leaders who were musicians, eventually directing me to the University of Cincinnati, where I did my undergraduate in music theory. And then I came to Bob Jones University and did a master's degree in church music composition under Dr. Joan Pinkston.
Did you happen to have the privilege of attending a Christian school when you were younger?
I was homeschooled with my brother. My mom had a lot of work to do, but she did it very well, teaching us all the way from kindergarten through our senior year of high school.
How about, is there any one person that influenced you in your life besides your parents in the direction of music or otherwise?
I would have to say that was Mrs. Pinkston. I met Mrs. Pinkston early when I was in high school at the Wilds Music Conference, and she really encouraged me. I was just getting interested in writing music at that point, and she encouraged me to get some more practical experience in music theory and really directed me that way. And I saw her a few more years in a row at the music conference, and each year she really encouraged me as far as my progress and showed me what I needed to work on. And that kind of direct but loving encouragement was just what I needed. I didn't need somebody to tell me that what I had was great and keep doing that. I needed somebody to tell me what I was lacking in and what I needed to work on. And I really took that as a challenge to improve my skills.
So you would say that church music is one of your passions then?
It definitely is. I am a full-time musician in the secular world right now. I'm blessed to have that privilege. But I really do consider what I do on Sunday in my church to be the most important thing I do all week, especially when it comes to music.
A lot of times we arrange music out of necessity for our local churches because many churches don't have music budgets to fund that kind of thing. How has your music contributed to your ministry of music there in the local church?
I feel like that's been one of the most important things I've done with my musical experience is writing music and arranging music that has never made it outside our local church. But I don't consider that a waste of effort. Anything I write that our congregation or our church musicians are able to use to bring glory to the Lord and direct our people to worship Him is a fantastic success that we are not even capable of doing on our own. It's all the Lord's doing. It's His work, and I praise the Lord for the opportunity I have to do that. I think it's important for really every church musician or every church leader to have at least some ability to arrange and to provide music for their musicians to work with. A lot of us have unusual groups of instruments available in our churches, and there isn't a lot of music you can find published for different unusual groups of instruments, and knowing how to use those and have everybody work together as a team is really important.
Is there any advice you would give to someone who would like to pursue in the area of writing or composing or arranging music?
There's a lot of help out there if you know where to look. Find someone who is experienced. It doesn't even really have to be, a Christian musician. Any professional musician who knows theory, you can email them a copy of something you've written. You can scan in handwritten music and just ask them to look over it. Ask them to check your theory, check your part writing, and send it back with comments, and you can learn from all of that. Get a good college theory textbook and work through it on your own. Those are easy to work through. It takes some work, but anything we do for the Lord is worth working hard at.
And you have other passions or interests besides music? What would be some of those things?
Well, I'm the father of a small family. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old boy, so they keep me very busy. And it is a great privilege to be raising them, and I pray that the Lord will help my wife Ruth and I to raise these boys for the Lord, and hopefully they'll share my passion for music as they grow older.
Well, that's terrific. I know you've published several of your pieces through Grace for All Publications, and we appreciate that. Have I Done My Best for Jesus is especially a blessing to many of the churches. What is your inspiration sometimes about what music you choose to arrange?
With that particular song, that was a hymn that I remember from my early teenage years, had an effect on me. It was convicting. As a teenager, I wasn't always focused on things of the Lord. That wasn't always my priority. Usually my priority was myself. And when I would hear that hymn, "Have I Done My Best for Jesus?" it was really a convicting influence on me, that I needed to be using my strengths and my talents for the Lord and not for myself. And I hope it can remind others of that too.
Tell us a little bit about your other ministry, say in copywriting. What does that entail?
Well, I am excited to see how the internet is making it possible for us to communicate in ways that have really not been possible before. And I have learned a lot from just reading other musicians' thoughts online. You do have to be careful. Not everybody shares your priorities and your philosophical background, but I really look forward to sharing what the Lord has given me through writing, and the internet is a great way to do that. Just starting a blog, providing tips for musicians, philosophy issues, discussing those, and just having a conversation online about many different aspects of music.
Well, one final question. If someone were to be interested in finding out more about you or about your arranging ministry, how would they contact you?
You can reach me by email at bastialc@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us, Lance.
Thank you, David.
This brings us to the end of the Music for Ministry podcast. You can find links and program notes to our show at graceforall.com/music for ministry. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to tell your friends about it, and do me a favor, head over to iTunes and give us a rating and give a review, and also feel free to subscribe to the podcast. Have a great day, and make music for ministry your passion too.
The Music for Ministry podcast is a production of Grace for All Publications.